Hi there, and welcome to today's Business Tools for Architects series. My name's Ray Brown. I'm CEO of Archibiz, also founder of the Business School for Architects. Today we're going to speak about what we call the mountain of sustainable success. So we've dealt with architects all over the world. None of us are architects, but we're all business people specialising in looking after architectural practices and helping them grow and prosper. We've been around for 6 years. I've been a business coach for 20 years. And we've got lots of clients who are sustainable, profitable, and really fun places to be in what can be quite a difficult market. So today, this concept of the sustainable mountain of success, what does sustainable actually mean in an architectural practice? Well, what we mean is that there's a consistent flow of projects of the type that you really want, and there's a consistent flow of profit at the end of the day as a return for all your hard work. And that's profit on top of a good market rate salary for you as the business owner. Why would you work for yourself for less than you would be paid working for someone else down the road? You need to be paid that rate for the job, and you need to make profit in the business to cover investment, development costs, new equipment, training people. These are the investment needs of a business that just can't be fulfilled if you don't make profit. So what makes a sustainable architectural practice? Well, in reality, most architects kind of drift into business. They're working for someone else, they do some work on the side, and then they decide they'll start their own business. Very few architects that I meet have a long-term strategic plan to start their own business. They may at the back of their mind want to start their own business, but it's not a strategic plan that gets put into place over a number of years. So you're in business, the business is growing, and quite often that can get out of hand because businesses grow. If you're good as an architect, you will attract clients. So it's really important that you start thinking strategically about your business. And what we say is that there are 3 really key steps. The first is to specialise. Okay, so you can say that you're an architect, you can do all sorts of work and from this end of the spectrum to that end of the spectrum. But people want a little degree of specialisation. They want people to know what they're doing. You've got to know what you're good at, what you're known for in the market, how you build your reputation in a particular area. You won't build your reputation just as an architect. You'll build your reputation as an architect who does a certain type of work or a small number of different types of work. So think about specialisation. Think about what you want to be doing. What are you passionate about? Where can you get the most enjoyment? Where do you want to be working in 20 years or 25 years' time? What type of projects and with what type of people? So specialisation takes all sorts of different forms. It could be scale, it could be type of building, it could be the type of client, all of these things. So try and specialise in one thing and another so that you can then attract the right clients when you need them. And the analogy we use here is the car industry, where you've got Rolls-Royce, you've got people like Ford and Suzuki. They're all great businesses, but I can tell you that there aren't many Rolls-Royce buyers going into a Suzuki showroom and vice versa. And why is that? Because they specialise. They know they're brands that are known in the market for a particular thing, a particular price, a particular type of service, a particular type of marketing. So that makes the job of the business a lot easier. They're not dealing with people who are a poor fit for their business. And your practice should be the same. The people who, we meet a lot of architects who say, I spend a lot of time dealing with tyre kickers. Well, that's your fault, I have to say, because you're attracting people who are not a fit for your practice. So you've got to get that right, and that starts with starts with specialising. Second is to systemise. So you need systems and processes in your business. An architectural practice really falls into what we call the 4 Ps. The practice itself, so what's the vision, what's the culture, where's the business going, what are the financials and how are those financials reported? So the practice needs to be a solid entity that works well, is efficient and creates profit. Then you've got the projects. How are they run? Do you know which projects make money, which projects lose money? Do you know when a project's going off the rails? or is the project driven by the client deadlines and the client that shouts loudest and just keep everybody busy and hopefully it all works out? There's a much better way to do it than that. You can be very strategic about the projects that you take on and then how you manage those projects internally. Really important that you manage the business at a project level. Then you've got the people, and there needs to be systems and processes around the people development. How do you hire? When do you hire? Really important that you don't engage in what we sometimes call get busy, get help. Get really busy, you've got a good job, let's go out and get some people. That can be a fatal mistake because people take time to settle into your business, to learn the ropes, to learn your systems. So A, you need systems in the first place, and B, you need to allow time for people to absorb those systems when they come into your business. And your systems need to be constantly evolving. As the business grows, you need to have your systems and processes evolve along with those. Have you got the right technology? We're all dealing now with AI, and at the time of making this video, it's kind of affecting all of us, but I suspect in the next few years, even the next few months, things are going to speed up very quickly in terms of what AI is capable of doing and the impact it's going to have on our practices and our businesses. So systemize as early as possible, and then that will allow you to scale. Okay, so you scale on a solid foundation. You've got the foundations in place for your business, systems and processes and people, the branding, the way you fit in the market, all of that stuff is sorted, and then you scale, and that's now life would be wonderful if businesses grew like that. But what we find most often is that people, what we call jump the mountain. Okay, they may specialise a little bit, but then they're successful and they attract new business and they jump to the other end of the scale, the other end of the diagram, which is to scale. And you get more work coming in, and sometimes in an architectural practice, getting more work is the worst thing you can do. It's not the solution to everything. We meet so many architects who say, if I could just get more work, more leads. But unless the business is well run, unless the systems and processes are in place in the 4 key areas of the business, so you have the 4 Ps, but you also have finance, operations, sales and marketing. Yeah, so you need the right financial reports so you know where you're winning, where you're losing. Finance is really just a scorecard, and if you don't have a scorecard, the game becomes pretty meaningless, and you don't know at the end of the day whether you've won the game or lost the game. And don't wait until the end of the year for your accountant to tell you that. You need to know on a monthly basis whether you're making money, losing money, and if you are losing money, where are you losing the money? And then you've got operations, and that's the efficient use of resources. Architecture is a very complex product, but a very simple business. You buy hours from people and you convert those in the practice and you sell them as invoices to your clients. There's no vehicles, there's no factories, there's no distribution systems and long lead time logistics. As I say, it is a complex product, but it isn't that complex as a business model. And then lastly, you've got sales and marketing. Are you bringing the right people into the business when you need them, in the quantity that you need them? And life becomes much more simple if you're dealing with the right type of client and that you're not continually under pressure by the deadlines of work or by the client's demands. Please remember that the business needs to be cared for as well as the clients, as well as the projects. You need to look after your business, and that will give you long-term success and less sleepless nights, less hassle. And we have lots of clients all over the world who are making 15% net profit, 20% net profit. In fact, we've got a few that are making 30% net profit after all the bills are paid and after they've taken their own salary out of the business. They're left with that big chunk of money at the end, which they can take partly as dividends perhaps, they can reinvest in the business. And they can put away for a rainy day too. That's the other important factor. You don't want to be living on the edge in terms of cash, because businesses go out of business for lack of cash, not because of lack of profit. So you've always got to husband the cash. So That's the story of the Mountain of Sustainable Success. What I would ask you to do is come and join us in the Business School for Architects. It's absolutely free. There's lots of free resources in there. Most importantly, there's a community of architects who are looking to do exactly what you're doing, to build a successful and sustainable business. So come into the business school. You'll find it on the school platform, skool.com/Archibus, ARCHIBIZ. I look forward to seeing you in the business school. Please contribute, please ask your questions, and we'll get you, with your help, across that sustainable mountain of success, and we'll get you there in a way that's hopefully less painful than doing it on your own.